Nacho man, yeah. I got to be a Nacho man. Got to be a Nacho man. I got to be a Nacho man.
Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and we're going to have to be a little bit quiet today, just hiding out from that mole miner because I want to take a shot at him here in a minute after I make a couple of points. First is, we are covering the two-shot explosive set of legendary effects today. This is part of my video series called Is It Worth It? And we're taking a look at some of the most expensive items in the game, either in the amount of caps required to buy them or the amount of time required to grind for them. Last video in the series was backpack modifications, and the next video in the series is going to cover the decontamination arch. If there is a topic that you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. So we're talking about two-shot explosive today, but I'm actually starting off by working here with Annie. Annie is situationally my most powerful gun. She's an instigating Gauss rifle and does double damage to targets at full health because I'm invested in sneak and rifleman and a lot of other things. Like, holy crap, that was even more than I was expecting. I was expecting around 1,000 damage from that shot, and oh, it's because it was a headshot. If I do it with the torso, there we go, 1,056 damage from a torso shot from Annie. That's pretty impressive, right? And you would say, like, well, gee, why would you even look at two-shot explosive over instigating? And the answer is largely based on how your character is built and how you like to play the game. If you are not a sneaky sniper like I am, or if you are playing in a group, perhaps two-shot might be the thing for you. However, we have to keep in mind that two-shot, I believe, especially two-shot explosive, is, I believe, even rarer than instigating. I have played this game for literally hundreds of hours, and I don't believe that I have ever run across a two-shot explosive in the wild. And when it comes to other players and player vending, they're still extremely rare. The few times that I have run across two-shot explosive in player vending machines, they have been very expensive, between 10,000 to 15,000 caps. Whenever a player does have a two-shot explosive weapon, most of the time they know exactly what they have and what it is worth, and they are going to charge you for it. That said, let's take a look at the actual stats on a two-shot explosive and just see how good they really are. I'm actually going to remove all of my related perks here just so that we can look at everything with an even playing field. So, as I said, Annie here is a instigating Gauss, and with no perks, her damage is about 150. And with perks, with having a sneak attack and getting the first shot in, as you saw, I can easily get 1,000 damage on a torso shot or over 2,000 on a headshot. But that's very situational, right? It's not always guaranteed that I will be able to sneak up on an enemy, and it's not guaranteed that you are going to have the perks necessary to really take those sneak attack criticals over the top. If I am in a situation where I am not going to be getting the first shot in, or I am detected, then this thing is almost worthless. at 147 a shot, or even 213 if I'm perked up on it, it fires so incredibly slow. I know the fire rate there says 67, but to actually get it to charge up to do full damage takes a long time. And so it's when you are in an event, or when you're working with a team, or if you are the type of person to just charge in, that these two-shot explosives start to really shine. What I've done here is I have got my two-shot explosive weapons that I'm the proud owner of 2 of them, both of them bought from other players for 10 to 12,000 caps each, and I have gotten another vanilla weapon without any legendary effects and modded it the exact same way so that we can take a look at these stat lines. So, boomstick. This is my boomstick. Of course it is, because I'm a fan of Evil Dead, and this thing is a shotgun. So, of course I need a boomstick. Plus, the pellets explode. I mean, anyways, so it's got explosive, it's got 2-shot and a 15% faster reload. And you can see the mods that I have installed along the right-hand side there. I've got this thing set up just the way that I like it. Meanwhile, my comparison item here, same exact modifications that I have installed, and yet the damage is significantly less. It's almost 50% more on boomstick compared to this comparison item that I have made. The one difference that, aside from damage, that you can see here is the accuracy on my comparison item is, whoa, hello. Maybe I shouldn't have done this in an area full of enemies. Anyways, in my comparison item here, the accuracy is 52, whereas boomstick is 42. Or sorry, 8. And I'm not sure if that's because it's a shotgun or if it's because of the faster reload speed, but the accuracy takes a severe penalty. However, since shotguns are best used against enemies with little to no armor or enemies that are hard to hit, I don't really feel like the accuracy penalty is that big of a deal. Keep in mind that shotguns shoot pellets, a whole bunch of pellets, and damage resistance is applied to each of those pellets before the actual damage shows up on screen, and that means that shotguns are not so good against armored enemies like robots and super mutants and such. Cowboy Up, on the other hand here, is a little bit different. It's got 2-shot and explosive, and the other third perk on this gun is +1 perception. It's fantastic for a sniper rifle. It means that my VATS shots are much more likely to hit. Comparing the actual stats on them, here again, this one is about a 60% increase over the base gun. We've got 98 versus 163. Meanwhile, the accuracy is barely changed at all. It's 109 on Cowboy Up and 110 on the comparison item. Of course, it's called Cowboy Up. I think I forgot to say this. It's called Cowboy Up because it's lever action, after all. But that's kind of not where things really end. I mean, yes, we can already see that it's important to use the instigating in the right situation and use boomstick in another situation and Cowboy Up in another situation. But what happens when we start looking at perks? I'm just going to add my shotgun perks here. So Expert Shotgunner, Master Shotgunner, and Shotgunner. And as a side note, everyone probably already knows this, but notice the diminishing returns on your perk points here. I could have 3 perk points invested into Shotgunner, and use up 3 of my strength special and get 20% damage, or I can have 1 in Shotgunner, Master, and Expert and get a total of 30. So unless you are very heavily invested in a particular weapon type, you're better off going ahead and just doing 1 each in the 3 different perks for that weapon type. However, if you're like me and heavily invested into a single weapon type, in my case, Rifleman, just go ahead, go to town. I got 6 points invested in this, and I'm using up 6 of my special just for Rifleman. So that already is going to make a big difference because these things are percentage based. You can see that Cowboy Up's gone to 237, Boomstick's gone from 188 to 244, and because they're percentage based, even though it's still a 50% and 60% increase over the previous level, the actual amount of damage that it goes up is much, much higher. But there's one last thing to take into account here, and that is that the Demolition Expert is also useful with the explosive effects on legendary weapons. So we went up to 276, and Cowboy Up went from, 237 to 277. It means that outside of my initial situation of having a first shot and being undetected, that these weapons are far more powerful than Annie here. Annie weighs 22 pounds, whereas Cowboy Up weighs 15, and it does more damage. So you can see why people really, really like these explosive effects. And it means that for a lot of players especially that only play on teams, this 2-shot explosive is just invaluable. I'm actually going to look around and see if I can't find some other enemies to shoot here, just to maybe kind of show off a little bit. But there's Boomstick, and let's get Cowboy Up also pre-selected. Now, while I look for some other enemies, there is one last thing to discuss when it comes to this legendary weapon type of 2-shot explosive, and that is that these things wear out really, really fast. In fact, I started my practice runs for this video with both of these guns repaired up to 200% using my Weapon Artisan perk, and my Gauss rifle was also close to 200%. These things are nearly worn out, and I have not really used them any more than the Gauss rifle. So keep that in mind when you're looking for 2-shot explosive, in that, especially if you are going to use the gun nut perk instead of maybe the instead of the Demolition Expert, you are going to have to fix these guns quite a bit more often. That said, I still think they're worth it. Even at the exorbitant prices that fellow players charge, you are going to get your money's worth out of these guns. Especially if you're in a situation like it looks like I'm about to be in, where I'm going to be swarmed and having to take on multiple enemies all at once. Hope you found this information useful, and if you did, please be sure to hit the like button down below. If you didn't like, before you hit that dislike button, please tell me why in a comment so that I can try and do better for you next time. Until next time, which is going to be probably the Decontamination Arch, my name is Nacho Bidness, and I'm saying it's a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have fun in it.